video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the new JND455, which is the Frame It 5x7 die. And this die is part of the Frame Maker collection, but we've actually called these Frame It because these are actually not in a square format, these are in a 5x7 format. So in here you can see there's a beautiful card on the front. You actually get 15 dies, and this gives you a series of frame makers. So you get here the 5x7, so this is a 5x7, and you get the inserts for this. And so the inserts will work to give you a beautiful sort of pattern of dots and a pattern of larger snowflakes in there. So I'll show you the card we're going to be making. And I think that's a beautiful card we're going to be making just using white and gold. Really simple. But of course, these actual panels will also fit within the 7x7 frame makers. So you can see here, using them twice around the corners, you can actually use those in your existing frame maker dies to actually give you a beautiful square frame as well as the rectangular frame. So there's a multi-use, and I've tried to make sure that through the collection of frame maker dies that a lot of the inserts will work across the different ranges. So in here you're going to actually get the 5x7, but you're also going to get a smaller frame maker, which works approximately a 3x5. It's slightly smaller than a 3x5, but it's on that scale. And again, frame maker die with the inserts. And you're also going to get a tiny one, and this is sort of 1.5 by sort of 2.5. And again, you get the little inserts in there. And these are beautiful. You get the side panels, which will actually emboss, and the top panels, which will actually cut out. So it gives you a lot more scope to play with that. But for this card, we're going to be using the main large panel here. So this is the card that we're making using the Frame It die in the 5x7. So I'm going to start with a piece of card, and all I've done is cut these down to A5. So I have a piece here of the waterfall glitter card in gold. I love this card. It looks so shiny and so glittery, and it's so smooth, it's like velvet. And a piece of our coconut white essential card. So all I'm going to do to start with is take the essential card, and I'm going to place down the frame maker die. I then need to add the inserts, and what you want to do is to add the inserts in to one panel, and then you will take your low tack tape. So I'm using the pink Craft Artist low tack tape, and just tape across to tape that in. And we then add each of the separate panels. Don't try and cut these separately, or don't try and cut the frame and then add the panels in. It will cut a lot better all together in one run, and it makes sure that everything is in exactly the right place. And of course, these can be used plain, so if you love that 5x7 cards, this will fit on exactly and give you a beautiful 5x7 frame. Again, 1 inch on each aperture. So we will run that through the machine, and from that we will get a beautiful cut. We will get this cut here. So you see here, you'll get a perfect 5x7 frame with all of that holly showing all the way around it. So we'd simply then take a piece of card, again, a piece of A5 card in the gold or whichever colour you want. We simply use the frame on that plane. And what you'll find is with this waterfall glitter card, the best thing to tape your die down with is normal sellotape. It won't harm the card, it won't harm the die, but you'll find your low tack tape just simply won't stick to this because it's a plaster-sized coating. So we run that through and cut it, and that will give us this beautiful plain gold frame here. And again, you could just use that to frame some of your stamped images, to put some of your backgrounds on, but we simply adhere those two together and we get an absolutely beautiful frame. I'll bring you one in that I've glued already. You can see here we have that absolute shimmer. It looks like you've put pure glitter behind it using that. So there is our frame for our card. So next I want to take 2 pieces of card, and these have been cut slightly smaller. So these have been cut to nearly 5 by nearly 7, again in the white and gold. So the totality of this card will only use 2 sheets of card. You're going to use 1 sheet of coconut white and 1 sheet of gold. So it's very economical for a multi-layer card. And for this one, what we want to do is we want to use the inserts. So I'm going to take the 2 inserts and I'm going to lay this out on my mat nice and evenly. And this mat is actually being made 2-inch measurements. So we count the measurements in until we find the center line. And we're going to run these 2 back to back down that center line, using the line at the top and the bottom to make sure it's nice and even and they don't overlap. And I'm simply going to tape those across together in the middle and pop a little bit of tape at the top. I'm then going to take the 2 pieces for the side and I'm going to slot those on, and you'll notice the measurement is 2 dots. So it's 2 dots from the bottom, 2 dots from the top is exactly the right place for them to go to be completely even. So I've done all the maths so that you don't have to. So again, I'm going to slide this one in, and again, 2 dots, 2 dots. Make sure I'm nice and happy that that's bang in the center. And we simply tape that down, and again, we will run that through our die cutting machine. And that will give us this beautiful panel here. And it's almost like a diamond. So I'm going to slide the gold behind it, and you'll see there that we have that really gorgeous panel of holly. And again, you could do lots of different things with that. You can work the smaller pieces to give you a beautiful square frame. There are the options for this are almost endless. So again, we glue those 2 together, which gives us this beautiful piece here. And then we would simply take our frame, and I've added some foam tape onto here, and I'm using 2mm foam tape as I like the depth, but I don't like it to be too deep. And obviously you want to be able to post to this card, which I think is really important at Christmas. So again, I follow the design of the dots, making sure they're either side, and I make sure I'm covering the same amount each side of the holly, and we simply adhere that down. And there we've got our beautiful shining holly on there. So I'm going to add that to a card blank. I've cut this as a top fold to 6 by 8, and I've matted onto this at 5 3/4 and then 5 7/8 in gold to give me the perfect sizing. We simply pop that on nice and evenly. And again, it's still not too big for postage. I've noticed there a little dot that's not come out. So let's just take him out. We don't want to spoil it, do we, with a dot in the wrong place. There we go. And now I'm going to decorate it. So what I've done next is I've taken the smallest little frame it die from this set, and I've cut that in gold. So you can see here, we'll pop that to one side. I've cut that in gold, which is absolutely perfect. I've then stamped a sentiment from one of the new 2J's Christmas sentiments, which just fits exactly. Anyone would think I'd designed the sentiments to fit the frames. And I've foam mounted that on. I've already got that piece done here. So you can see here, I've just foam mounted it on and used a pair of scissors just to chop it down, just so I get that beautiful sentiment. And again, I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape in the center of here. And to get this in the center, it's very easy because we can use the design again. So everything's done to make it easy to get things straight, because I'm terrible for not getting things straight. So you can see here, there's the exact center. Those dots follow across. So I go over there and I make sure that I'm seeing the same at the top and the bottom and either side. We just pop our little sentiment in. And then to go with this, I've actually just cut some of the new sweeping boughs. So I've just got a few pieces of those. I've cut some of the hawthorn, and I've added onto here some of the Pearl Dimension in white from Craft Artist. I'll show you that in a second because we'll finish off the card with that. And I've simply got some of the new frost flowers, which I've made up again in white. You watch the separate video to show you how to do these. So I have my frost flowers. So we're just going to use 2 of those. And I've put in there some little gold gems in the centre, and those are actually Crafts 2 gems. So all I'm going to do is to take my longest sweeping bow, and I'm going to tuck it in. Because I've used foam tape, I can obviously kind of pull that open. So there's our sweeping bow going one way, a little bit of glue in the centre, and we're going to have a little collection of them here. So I'm using 3. So every time you make this card, this is great for a production run, as you can make so many quickly. So we're just going to put a little collection in there. And then I have my hawthorn cut again in the gold mirror card. And because it's quite heavy in its mirror card, I am using a little bit of the normal Craft Artist glue rather than using my glue glaze, just so that I make sure it's well glued down. So just popping a few little dots on. Put our little spray in there as well. And there we go. That's what I love about the Craft Artist. It will dry completely clear. And we simply then add our little flowers on at the top point of each spray. So a complex looking card that's actually made in about 3 or 4 different cuts. It's really, really very simple but beautiful, made using the new JND455 5x7 frame it die from the John Next Door collection. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John Next Door and Crafts 2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.